Hello, and welcome to another episode of Steven Goes to the Movies. I'm here once again with Alan.
Yeah.
And we both saw Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's not Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's just Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Right.
But I'll still consider it Wreck-It Ralph 2 as well.
Mm-hmm.
I loved this movie.
Yeah, it's like pretty much one of the best films.
I'd even go as far as saying I think it was better than the first one.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Because the first one had its charms, right? It was all like, oh, I know that character and I know that character and like all that kind of stuff. And this one was now, they're all established. Right? There was no more, oh, hey, it's Sonic. Now it's just freaking Sonic.
Yeah.
Be in the know-it-all.
Yeah.
And this one went so much further with the world and the story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure this movie's going to get compared, like you even said it a couple days ago, that the obvious comparison would be the Emoji Movie, right? Because of that one trying to do the whole, like, internet world type, like, in your phone thing.
Yeah.
And this one did it so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was some real stuff in the environments, like there was Google and Twitter, and the little birds was so cute.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was fake stuff, right? It wasn't all product placement throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. Well, eBay is like the main...
eBay was... And that was...
main plot point.
That was a main plot point. But again, it wasn't like a product placement. It drove the story.
Right.
Everything drove the story. Mm-hmm. Even they referenced YouTube once, but the whole thing was set around this BuzzTube, which is a fake
like
YouTube.
Right.
And they were like on the BuzzTubes was like everything was kind of like this buzz thing. And like I almost was wondering if it was BuzzFeed, but it wasn't, because they never mentioned BuzzFeed.
That's what I thought too, but then it was like, oh no, it's like their version of YouTube.
Right.
So like they don't throw YouTube under the bus.
Yeah. Which it all worked really, really well. Right. I have to say, I mean, we don't have to get into like spoiler stuff yet. We can keep talking about what we loved. But yeah, like just the whole idea of like seeing these characters grow in this new way, where the first one was all about Vanellope not knowing who she was, and now she knows who she is and she's bored with it.
Yeah.
It was a great next step for a character so out of the box. And I mean, it's not a spoiler because it was in the commercials, but everything with the Disney princesses was wonderful.
Oh my
it was
goodness.
so good.
Like,
so good.
When are they going to do an MCU Disney princess?
It was so good.
Right.
Okay. I mean, even just the extension of that scene where they meet her and they love her comfy outfit.
Right.
And then like the attention to detail that every princess had, like once they switch over into these comfy clothes, like Moana, it was like #shiny, and it was the crab guy from Under the Sea.
Yeah.
Like Cinderella's was like the pumpkin carriage, and it said G2G on it. And like every one of them, it was so good.
Yeah, like
and freaking
market any of those and sell them for a pop.
If they haven't already, they've missed a boat.
Yeah.
Ariel's, her shirt was like her whole phrase from that from her movie, the who's it's and what's it and whatever. And then she was like, and she even said it. She was like, and what's this called? Oh, a T-shirt or whatever. Like, the whole thing was so good. And then,
Moana was like, thank you, or well. She referenced the song.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. There you go.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And then when what's her the girl's name from Brave, she just starts speaking in this heavy like Gaelic accent and like language, and then I think it was Rapunzel or one of the other ones just looks at Vanellope and goes, "We don't know either. She's from the other studio."
Yeah.
It was so good.
Right.
Everyone just started laughing in the theater. It was great.
Yeah.
So now I guess we can go into a little bit of spoilers. Because to continue along with the princesses, literally the like conclusion of the final like battle is all of the princesses coming and doing what they're known for,
their powers
to help save the day. And they're like, a big strong man in trouble.
Right.
And they completely flipped the script on the trope, and like, you know, one character does water, and then Moana does water, and then Ariel does her like she swims up through it, and then does her hair flip thing, and then what's her name freezes it.
Elsa.
Elsa freezes it because then it turns into a tube for Ralph to slide down. It was, and then they use the mice from Cinderella, and then there's the birds from Snow White. The whole thing. It was
Rapunzel's hair.
The whole and Snow White.
The wind.
The colors of the wind, even. She blew. Yeah, and Snow White's apple, like the poison apple, is what they used to burn the rope or whatever.
Mulan just like ninjas it.
Right, Mulan, and Mulan's outfit when she was comfy was kind of like sort of kimono-y, like a jacket with like the Asian like dragon stuff on it. Yeah, the whole thing was so well done. Oh, and then when Ariel starts singing, and Vanellope's, what the heck was that?
Oh yeah, because she goes into that.
She's like, oh,
musical type thing. And
Vanellope was like, I've never done that.
And she tries to do it, but then it doesn't get it at first, but eventually. And
when she does get it, that song was great.
Yeah.
Like Sarah Silverman, I mean, she could sing. You know, for the probably some auto-tune in there. I won't lie, but it was still good.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, during the credits, they had a song that was about the game. Mm-hmm. What was the game called again? Slaughter Race.
Which was like
Slaughter Race is like online Grand Theft Auto, where like anything can happen. There's like sharks that'll like jump out of sewers and stuff like that. They show that in the previews. But during the credits, the song for Slaughterhouse, it's like this game is about murder and like auto theft, but the song is so happy, and they were singing like Slaughter Race, Slaughter, and I was just like, wow, like even they freaking Disney even made the Slaughter Race game song like positive.
Right.
It was so ridiculous. The one weak point for me was Ralph's character, like, flaw, because
he was insecure about it.
The insecurity level was so high. Like in the first one, he's insecure about how he's a bad guy, and he literally becomes a bad guy to try to be a good guy by breaking into another game, stealing the medal, all that stuff, and he doesn't care because he just wants it. And that, like, we understood because he's been a bad guy for so long. Now he's a good guy. But this movie is set 6 years later because they Fix It Felix has now been married, they say, for 6 years. And 6 years later, how is he now? Why has he gone from being so insecure about being a hero to being so insecure about not being attached to Vanellope's hip for every second of every day?
I can understand that. I've felt that before. Where like you have a really good friend, and you know, when they go away and do something, it's like it's hard, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I felt like
don't have like a big group of buddies that are really close, you know.
Yeah, that's true. But for it to for him to be 100% insecure. I mean, that little virus, when it was scanning stuff, Vanellope was 30%.
Right.
And then it kind of messed with the world. But when it scanned him, after that, it said 100%.
Well, yeah, I just think it was that, so it showed you, like, okay, yeah, he's, like, more insecure. Because they keep bringing it up that he's insecure.
They did. Yeah, every character brought it up.
Yeah. Bring it up to him, so.
And then that whole thing leads to, like, the boss fight, where now there's like the million of him, and that whole thing I didn't really particularly like that being like how the movie having just one big monster that they're fighting, like a Godzilla style monster. I'm not sure how else they could have like kind of resolved the whole thing, but I was like up until that point
talked it down.
Oh no, that was great.
Yeah.
Up until that point,
because you thought, they're gonna do that time where they just mash it into a screen and it was gonna be like.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
But then they kind of flipped it and it's like, no, we're gonna do it.
When the battle ended, I was back in it. Yeah. But for the most part, when it was just him with that big thumbtack, like smashing it and stuff, I was just like, I don't know about this. And then it came back to it where then they literally worked through Ralph's insecurity to get rid of this monster.
Right.
And it was just funny, like just like the Wreck-It Ralph virus and the whole thing. I gotta say, of course, it's extremely inaccurate to how the internet works.
Right.
But I mean, what they're gonna do? It's
I kind of liked how
it's a kids movie.
Every person has their own little avatar.
But I did love that.
Little houses and stuff.
Yeah, no, and even though it's not, let's say you could call it accurate to some degree, I loved it. Like the way that they showed like into the router, into the wiring, and then it hit the light cable, and they just suddenly went way faster, and then you're in the world, and everybody's a little avatar of themselves, and the checkout lady at the eBay website thing was great. Like it was all great, and then the e-boy that kept popping up, and it's like, hey, don't forget, you got a half hour.
Yeah,
the whole thing, and then even like the
that's the plot also, but the whole eBay thing.
Yeah.
Is that.
It started. Go ahead.
Well, okay, so she's playing her game. She's really bored, and she complains to Ralph about this. Like, oh, there's nothing new in my game. Blah blah blah. So he goes in and makes a new track for her, and when she sees it, like, oh, I'm gonna try the new track, but she's also being played as by a human person,
and she completely disregards that fact and takes over, and so the girl in the real world is now fighting to maintain control and breaks the controller off.
Right.
So then when the guy that owns the shop tries to put it back, it splits in half, and then he goes, well, I guess they're going out to pasture.
Yeah, because he can order a new part, and the only part available was on eBay for like $200 some.
$200, which I gotta say, I thought that was weird when he said $200. That's more than the machine brings in all year.
Yeah,
I was like, that
really?
doesn't make sense.
How do you stay in business, man?
Yeah,
it's like I think.
He's in a real small town of California, so maybe it's not expensive to run an arcade.
Still,
but yeah, I was like, if that machine doesn't make $200, if you can't afford to replace a part for $200, I mean that's pretty crazy. But what we learn is that that was the starting bid.
Right.
Because then the price starts going up when they're actually standing there for the auction.
Yeah.
Which
it was pretty funny.
It was pretty funny.
But that's not how eBay works, right?
I mean, it is.
If you bid super high, it's gonna go.
That's okay. Yeah. So they broke eBay's realism a little bit because there was one human bidding on it, which I was kind of hoping would be somebody from the movie.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like maybe one of the kids is wealthy and was like, I'll get the part for you know.
Right.
But they never go into that. So there's one person that's bidding, and it's $275.
And it's like a couple seconds left.
And there's a couple seconds left, and they're like, oh, I get it. I know how this game works. You just say the biggest number possible. And then they start battling each other back and forth. She says 500, and he says 1,000, and 2,000, 10,000, 20,000. And they just keep going up and up and up. And the eBay bid just goes to that highest number rather than, you know, what it would have been, we say our highest our possible is $1,000, and then the other guy's highest is 500, and so we win because it's 501.
Right, yeah.
Which is, everyone obviously, you hopefully knows that's how eBay works.
So I was like...
so it was a little strange that all of a sudden the final bid was $27,001, which I gotta say, whoever was selling that part on eBay, would have been great if they had shown their reaction when the bid closed. Oh,
yeah. Because then they would have been like, woo!
Because then I would have been, if they had been like and then like fallen out of their chair or something, because they literally a starting bid of $200 and it ends at $27,000. I mean, that would have created some news. That would have been on the news report or something.
Pretty much.
You know, when they're talking about. I mean, they cut to the news a couple times.
Yeah, the value of Sugar Rush would have went up the roof.
Yeah, so they could have gone even a little further and made more out of that and had a little more fun. But again, nitpicking because the movie was so good.
Yeah.
You know, when they find... So then what happens next is now they need money. And when they were going into eBay, there was a pop-up ad trying to tell them that they can make money by playing games.
Right.
So they go back to him, which that was great. That little like, I'll take you to my website. And they're like, and he was like, oh, the antivirus guy was just here. And then he lifts a box and there's a virus and he goes... the whole thing. And you feel bad for this guy because he's just trying to scrape a living together, right? Even though technically... a website like that in the real world would be really seedy and like, you know, suspicious, but in this game he just comes off as endearing because he's trying to make a living on like the lower level of the internet. So yeah, so that's what takes them to Slaughter Race.
Yeah, because they're gonna steal a car that's worth the amount of money they need, or worth
It was
more than the amount of money.
It was like $50,000 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
$50,000 for a digital car. I don't know if that's realistic.
The only items that are worth that much, there's like one game where it's like space, and the spaceships are worth retarded amounts of money. I think they're like 10,000 even. Not that much.
I can't remember the name of the game, but I've seen it online. Star Citizen, something like that.
Yeah.
They it's like an MMORPG in space, and you have to build up to become like a big shot in the world.
Or you
could just pay a lot of money to buy someone else out of their stuff. Actually, I think I've seen news articles about how like they were like real life thefts.
Yeah.
And like in-game like stuff where
somebody
people were like hacking each other.
Sold off all their shit, and it was worth thousands and thousands of dollars, which is really stupid. But you know.
Yeah. So it's crazy, but yeah. So then they end up in this game, and now Vanellope is in love, and I don't know. I'm sure you saw it in the credits, but Gal Gadot was the voice of the Shank. Shank. That's right, because she's
like really
Shank
beautiful.
you.
Like,
yeah.
I guess she's supposed to be Middle Eastern because she's Israeli.
Yeah. So yeah, there's this like Middle Eastern-y attractive in-game NPC who has her like gang of NPCs, and again they did such a good job making these characters endearing because we're introduced to them because they kill two players.
I love the animation, how that's all janky. I was like, that's totally
right. Yeah, and like the players were like this, and they're just kind of smoothly walking. Because that's what it would be like.
Right.
And we see these two characters in real world. It's like a kid and another, it's like a little boy and a little girl or something who are playing this game.
Teenage girl,
yeah, a little boy and a teenage girl, and she starts laughing when the like grandmother's like yelling at the little boy about he better not be playing that violent video game and like the whole thing. And he's like, I'm not. I'm doing homework, and the whole thing was so good. Yeah. And they kill them, and then instead of like they're bad guys or whatever, they start going into a whole diatribe about how they feel bad for them because they worked really hard to be there. And then Gal Gadot's character is like, but if we just let them win, then there's no challenge to it.
Right.
There's like a whole logical side to everything. And then that one character, who was like, I watched a TED Talk, and I don't remember what it was about, but the way he made me feel, the whole thing, it was so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that's really, I don't know if is there anything else you want to add? I mean, the movie was great. Go see it. Absolutely.
How did they react to the cameo of Stanley?
Oh, that's right. I don't think anybody really like reacted, but I did.
Yeah. I heard my whole audience was like,
yeah, I mean, because I sighed, and I was sitting in a row further up, and it was an early showing. The theater wasn't full.
Oh, okay.
But when I saw that, I was like, oh, they definitely added that after he died.
Yeah, it was.
That wasn't there before. I don't think so.
It was like part of the Disney where she goes to the Disneyland site.
Oh yeah, so I guess
which has Marvel and Star Wars and characters and Disney characters.
So the reason she's there is because after they fail to steal the car, Gal Gadot's character sends them to the Buzz Tube algorithm called Yes, which is it's actually spelled YESSS. Yeah. And then she goes, well, you want to make that much money, you gotta get viral and videos. Yeah. So he starts making a shit ton of videos, which by the way, I was hoping that they would go back and show his arcade machines now super popular.
That's what I thought. They were gonna do that, like, or kind of way to that, like him being popular.
How much you want to bet there's gonna be a Wreck-It Ralph 3 and it'll be about a sequel to the game machine? And then he might have to compete with a new version of himself or something.
Maybe.
Because they set it all up where now everyone's like, oh my god, Wreck-It Ralph is so cool.
Popular because and infamous because the Ralph virus.
Right. So anyway, so now he's going viral, and to help generate money, the algorithm sends out her pop-up ad bots to bring people in, and Vanellope wants to help out, So then they're gonna send her off to the gaming world. But when Ralph notices that that death game, the death race game is there, he sends her instead to the world of cartoons, which is then when we're introduced to Disney, and they have a Marvel thing, they have a Star Wars thing. There was even one that I was like
Pixar.
Oh, there's Pixar, and Sonia Silvanelli gets there, and then she bumps into a stormtrooper, and as she's running away,
because her thing was not allowed.
They go. Is that Papa Bad registered or something? Yeah. And so she hits one of them with it, which sends him off to watch the video, and then runs away and drops it. And then as she's running, she bumps into Stan Lee, who doesn't say anything, but she bumps into, goes, "Sorry, mister," and he turns around and he's like, laying on his face, and I was like, oh.
Did you see the door of the Avenger symbol?
No.
There's an Avenger symbol door she passes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if she walked into that one, fuck.
Yeah, that would have been great, yeah. But that's when she ends up running into the Disney princesses and so forth and so on. But
apparently it's going to be like quite a few movies.
Oh, where they're going to give him an homage now?
Well, he'll be in it.
Oh, because they filmed a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ahead of time, yeah.
Wow, that'll be interesting. Yeah, I was thinking
maybe like
it would be
up to like Infinity War, maybe even up to the Spider-Man movie, but I guess like maybe even to movies and to like 2022.
I don't know. I mean, it'll be a sad day when Stan Lee stops appearing in them. Although I gotta say, I was disappointed he didn't make an appearance in Blade, because that was the original black superhero. If anybody has any controversy about that. I watched Blades 1, 2, and 3 like 2-3 weeks ago. He does not appear in any of them.
I don't know.
And it even has a name at the end. It's like associated producer.
I think he was the first one, right? Spider-Man and X-Men.
No, actually there was one in the 80s that he had a scene in.
Oh, okay.
One of like the shitty ones.
Oh, okay.
I forgot which, because I watched a whole video on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
That was all of his appearances. And I was like, oh, he was in that one? In that one?
Oh, okay.
Also,
I know he was in the animated series for Spider-Man.
Oh,
last episode.
Yeah, he actually had lines in that. Like
he was an actual character.
He's an actual character. Yeah, it was so funny. Yeah. And he was in Mallrats as Stan Lee.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so there's 2 end credit scenes. Alan, keep me into that one. We're not gonna tell you the second one. Just stay till the end. But the first one is funny. And everyone in the theater started laughing.
Yeah, because it was so meta.
Because the mom, it's like the mom and a little girl in the back seat, and they're driving. I mean, maybe we don't have to ruin the whole thing. Do we? Fine. We'll do that. No, we'll leave it. You watch it. You're going to go see the movie, so stay to the end of the credits. Yeah. I saw it in the Dolby theater. I gotta say, it probably wasn't any different than watching it in like a standard theater.
Standard theater.
I was supposed to see it last night, but I ended up having to do some other stuff, so I went and saw it this morning. But yeah, you know what? I don't think Dolby was needed for this movie because there was nothing really with the sound or the visuals that I don't think you could have gotten in the regular theater. So go see it, of course, but you don't have to spend the premium money on it. Just see it for like in the regular theater.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, and then actually we're about to head out to go watch Creed 2.
Yeah, Creed 2, man.
And then in the morning we got Robin Hood.
Yeah, which is not good.
Which I've heard is not good too, and I really didn't want to go see it, but I am because of this guy, and for you all out there.
Right.
We got a new random subscriber last night.
Oh.
Yeah, so please like and subscribe and comment below and all that good stuff. Hit the bell if you so wish. And thank you again, and Alan, thank you.
Thanks.
I'm excited to see Creed 2.
Yeah, I know.
So let's get on the way.